The massive warship, Fang of Victory, hung silently in Earth's orbit, its dark metal hull reflecting the pale blue glow of the planet below. Commander Vex stood on the bridge, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as he studied the world through the main viewport. His yellow eyes narrowed as he flicked his tongue, tasting the recycled air of the ship, a habit from his species' predatory evolution. "Another primitive world," he muttered, his voice carrying the deep rumble typical of his kind. The other bridge officers, all towering reptilians like himself, nodded in agreement. Their species had conquered dozens of worlds across the galaxy, and from their experience, this one looked particularly easy. Lieutenant Ray, the sensors officer, cleared his throat. "Commander, I've completed the initial scan of their population centers." His clawed fingers moved across the holographic display, bringing up several images. They have no orbital defenses, no energy shields, and their weapons appear to be based on primitive chemical propulsion. Commander Vex's lips curled into what his species considered a smile, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "Show me their military installations." The display changed, showing various locations across the planet's surface. The commander leaned forward, his ridge-covered forehead wrinkling in confusion. "What are these enclosed areas?" he asked, pointing to numerous rectangular and circular spaces scattered throughout their cities. "Unknown, sir," Ray replied. "They appear to be some sort of primitive fortifications, but they're oddly small and scattered everywhere. Many of them have soft ground covering and strange obstacles." "Inefficient design," another officer commented. "No proper defensive walls, no weapon emplacements. These humans are even more primitive than we thought." Commander Vex straightened up to his full 3-meter height. "Bring up their largest settlement areas." The display shifted again, showing aerial views of major cities. The commander's eyes fixed on one particular location, a sprawling metropolis near the coast of a large landmass. "New York," Ray supplied, reading from the data, "one of their primary population centers." "And these green spaces within their cities?" Vex asked, pointing to what humans would recognize as Central Park. "More of their strange fortifications." "Yes, Commander. They seem to maintain these spaces in every major settlement. We've detected regular movement of their population in and out of these areas, possibly for training exercises." Commander Vex walked closer to the display, studying the patterns of human activity. Something about it all seemed odd to him, but he couldn't quite place what. Their scans showed humans were the dominant species, yet they seemed to share their living spaces with numerous smaller creatures. Perhaps they were food sources. "Sir," Ray interrupted his thoughts, "we're detecting some sort of gathering places for smaller creatures near many of their dwellings. They appear to be containment areas." The commander waved his hand dismissively. "Probably livestock pens. These humans are clearly not advanced enough to synthesize their food like civilized species." He turned to face his crew, his massive frame casting a shadow across the bridge. "Prepare the standard conquest protocol. We'll start with a demonstration of force, then offer them the chance to surrender." "Yes, Commander," the communications officer responded, beginning to draft the ultimatum message. "And ready our elite warriors," Vex added, his voice filled with pride. "If these humans resist, we'll show them what true apex predators look like." The crew straightened at this, each of them knowing the fearsome reputation of their enhanced shock troops. As the crew carried out his orders, Commander Vex returned to studying the planet below. His species had evolved from the most feared predators on their homeworld, and they had used that strength to build an empire among the stars. These humans, with their soft bodies and lack of natural weapons, would surely crumble at the first sign of real power. "Message ready, Commander," the communications officer announced. "Send it," Vex ordered. "Let's see how quickly they surrender when they realize what they're facing." The message beamed down to Earth, carrying the standard threats and demands. As they waited for a response, none of them realized they had made a crucial mistake in their assessment. Those primitive fortifications they'd dismissed. They were about to learn that dog parks, kennels, and training grounds served a very different purpose than they imagined. The conquest of Earth they were about to discover wouldn't be nearly as simple as they thought. In a brightly lit underground room at Fort Harrison, Montana, Captain Tom Miller stood before a group of military leaders, his hand resting on his German shepherd's head. The dog Max sat perfectly still beside him, alert and watchful. On the large screen behind them, the alien ultimatum played one more time, its threatening message echoing through the room. "Ladies and gentlemen," Miller said, scratching behind Max's ears, "these aliens have made a critical mistake in their intelligence gathering." He clicked a button on his remote, bringing up the alien scans they'd intercepted. "They've completely misread what they're seeing." General Roberts, a stern-faced man with gray hair, leaned forward. "Explain, Captain." "Look at what they've marked as primitive fortifications on their scan." Miller pointed to several highlighted areas. Dog parks, training facilities, kennels. They've documented every single location where we work with and train our canine companions, but they have no idea what they're actually looking at. A murmur ran through the room. On the table in front of each person sat a tablet showing detailed analysis of the alien ship and its occupants. Their long-range scans had revealed something fascinating about the invaders. "Our xenobiologists believe these aliens evolved from some kind of solitary apex predator," Miller continued. "Look at their ship design. Individual quarters, no communal spaces. They don't even eat together. They have no concept of pack behavior or cooperative hunting." Max's ears perked up as Miller walked to another screen, showing a map of the United States dotted with thousands of points of light. "These are just the registered working dogs in our country. Police canine units, military working dogs, search and rescue teams. That's not even counting the millions of family pets who are trained and loyal to their owners." "Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting, Captain?" General Roberts asked, a slight smile crossing his face. Miller nodded. "Yes, sir. They think they're dealing with a primitive species because we share our space with other creatures. They see our dog parks as poorly designed training grounds. They've marked every kennel and veterinary hospital as a primitive containment facility. They have no understanding of the bond between humans and dogs." "And their troops?" another officer asked. "Their warriors are essentially oversized versions of themselves, bigger, stronger, but still thinking like solitary predators. They've never faced anything like a coordinated pack working together with human handlers." Miller pulled up another image, showing the size comparison between the alien warriors and various dog breeds. "They may be 3 meters tall, but they're about to learn that size isn't everything." The room grew quiet as the implications sank in. Humanity had spent thousands of years developing partnerships with dogs, refining their natural pack hunting abilities through breeding and training. These aliens, for all their advanced technology, had no concept of such cooperation. "I've already contacted the major canine training centers," Miller continued. "We've got handlers ready to deploy with their partners at a moment's notice. The civilian networks are on standby too. Every dog training club, every police department, even the herding dog associations. The moment these aliens land, they're going to find out why dogs are called man's best friend." General Roberts stood up, walking over to where Max sat. The German shepherd looked up at him calmly, radiating the quiet confidence that came from years of training. "Send our response to the aliens, Captain. Let them know that Earth doesn't surrender." "Yes, sir." Miller couldn't help but smile. "Should we warn them about what they're really facing?" "No," Roberts replied, now grinning openly. "I think this is one of those lessons best learned firsthand. They want to see our beasts. Well, they're about to meet them." As the meeting ended, officers filed out of the room, many already on their phones activating response networks across the country. Miller knelt beside Max, looking into his dog's intelligent eyes. "Ready to save the world, buddy?" Max's tail wagged once, his posture remaining alert and ready. Outside, across America and around the world, millions of dogs perked up their ears, somehow sensing the excitement building in the air. In homes, police stations, military bases, and training centers, humanity's oldest alliance was preparing for its greatest test. Up in orbit, Commander Vex and his warriors had no idea they were about to face not just one species, but two working together in perfect harmony. They would soon learn why, throughout human history, the phrase "who let the dogs out" had always been followed by chaos. Commander Vex paced the bridge of the Fang of Victory, his claws clicking against the metal floor. The humans' response to their ultimatum had been unexpected. Instead of fear, their message had contained something that sounded suspiciously like poorly suppressed laughter. "Play it again," he ordered, his tail twitching with irritation. The communication screen flickered to life, showing the human spokesperson, a gray-haired man in a military uniform. "We appreciate your generous offer," the human said, his lips twitching slightly. "But Earth must respectfully decline to surrender. We suggest you reconsider your position." A strange sound came from off-screen, something between a bark and a howl, and several humans in the background visibly struggled to maintain straight faces. "They're mocking us," Vex growled, his scales darkening with anger. "Show them the warrior pods." Lieutenant Ray quickly brought up images of their elite troops. 20 massive containers lined the ship's main cargo bay, each holding a genetically enhanced warrior of their species. 3 meters tall, covered in armored scales, with claws that could tear through metal. They were the pride of the invasion force. "Send them new images," Vex commanded. "Show them what they're facing." The communications officer transmitted close-up footage of one warrior, its massive jaws filled with razor-sharp teeth, its muscles rippling under reinforced scales. The response came back almost immediately, more barely contained laughter. "Sir," Ray reported, confusion clear in his voice. They're asking if we'd like to see their good boys in return. I don't understand the translation." Commander Vex slammed his fist on a nearby console. "Enough. Prepare the landing pods. We'll release our warriors in their largest park area. Let's see them laugh when face to face with our beasts." The bridge crew scrambled to obey, but the sensor officer suddenly raised his hand. "Commander, we're detecting strange patterns of movement on the surface. Humans are gathering, but not in panic. They appear to be organizing something." On the main screen, thousands of small dots moved through the cities. Humans were indeed gathering, but instead of fleeing the predicted landing zones, they seemed to be calmly assembling around them. Many of the dots were paired with smaller moving objects that the sensors couldn't quite identify. "What are those smaller signatures?" Vex demanded. "Unknown, sir. They're organic, but our database has no match. They're moving in perfect coordination with the humans." Commander Vex dismissed the concern with a wave of his clawed hand. "Probably some primitive combat drones. Begin the deployment sequence. Send the first wave to their Central Park location." The massive landing pods began their descent, each containing a single enhanced warrior. As they streaked through Earth's atmosphere, the sensors continued to show more and more of those strange paired signatures gathering around the landing zone. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're picking up a lot of local transmissions. They keep repeating strange phrases. 'Who's a good boy?' and 'want to play.' Our translators can't make sense of it." "Irrelevant," Vex snapped. "Show me the landing zone." The screen shifted to show Central Park. Humans had formed a loose perimeter around the area, many of them holding what looked like thin ropes or straps. They seemed remarkably calm for a species about to face terrifying warriors. The first pod crashed down, its doors opening with a hydraulic hiss. Inside, one of their enhanced warriors rose to its full height, stepping out into Earth's sunlight. Its sensors immediately detected hundreds of nearby life forms, but before it could analyze the threat, a sound cut through the air. A whistle, then another, and another. "What's that noise?" Vex demanded, watching through the warrior's video feed. "What are they doing?" The answer came in a chorus of barks, growls, and excited yips that made every alien on the bridge freeze instinctively. Through the video feed, they watched as their mighty warrior turned its head just in time to see dozens of four-legged creatures charging forward, led by larger ones wearing protective gear and working in perfect sync with their human handlers. "Sir," Ray said, his voice shaking slightly, I think we may have misunderstood something important about this planet." Commander Vex stared at the screen, watching as the first wave of what humans called good boys reached their warrior. The last thing they heard through the feed was their elite soldier making a very unwarrior-like squeal of surprise. The conquest of Earth was about to take an unexpected turn. The first alien warrior stood frozen in Central Park, its advanced combat sensors overwhelmed by the chaos unfolding around it. More pods crashed down nearby, each releasing another enhanced soldier. They were the pride of their species, 3-meter-tall killing machines with armor-plated scales and claws that could shred steel. Yet something felt very, very wrong. "Spread out. Show these primitives our might," the squad leader ordered through their communication system. But before they could move, another series of whistles pierced the air. The first wave hit them like a furry tornado. German shepherds from the K9 units led the charge, their tactical vests gleaming in the sunlight. Belgian Malinois and Rottweilers followed close behind, moving with military precision. The alien warriors found themselves surrounded by what they first thought were small, inferior predators. They quickly learned how wrong they were. "What is this?" One warrior screamed as a German shepherd latched onto his arm, using techniques perfected over years of police training. The alien tried to shake it off, but the dog held firm, working in perfect coordination with its human handler. From the Fang of Victory in orbit, Commander Vex watched in horror as his elite troops faced something they'd never trained for: pack hunters working in perfect sync with intelligent commanders. "Sir," Lieutenant Ray called out, his voice shaking. "More of those creatures are arriving. Different sizes, different breeds. Hundreds of them." He was right. While the military and police dogs led the initial assault, reinforcements were arriving from every direction. A pack of border collies darted in and out with incredible agility, herding the confused aliens into tight groups. Golden retrievers and Labrador retrievers, many wearing service dog vests, showed surprising tactical intelligence as they coordinated with their human partners. "Fall back," the squad leader ordered, but there was nowhere to go. Every time they tried to regroup, more dogs appeared. A team of Siberian Huskies and Alaskan Malamutes, used to working together pulling sleds, demonstrated remarkable teamwork as they circled the aliens. Then came what the warriors would later describe in their nightmares as the small ones. "Something is biting my feet," another warrior screamed. He looked down to find a determined Jack Russell Terrier attacking his ankles with frightening enthusiasm. Nearby, a squad of Corgis, bred for herding cattle much larger than themselves, showed no fear as they darted in and out, nipping at the aliens' heels. Commander Vex watched the tactical display in disbelief. How are they so organized? These can't be natural creatures. On the ground, the situation got even more surreal. The humans weren't acting like a species facing dangerous invaders. Instead, they were cheering. "Good boy, Max. Who's a good boy?" One human called out as their German shepherd successfully knocked down an alien warrior. "Excellent work, Princess," another shouted to their golden retriever, who had just helped trap an alien against a tree. A particularly large warrior found himself being herded by a pack of chihuahuas, their high-pitched barks causing his sensitive audio sensors to malfunction. "They're so tiny but so angry," he wailed through the comm system. "Why are they so angry?" The final straw came when the rescue dogs arrived. Street Bernards and Newfoundlands, bred for rescue work and naturally gentle, still weighed up to 150 pounds each. They simply sat on the fallen warriors, looking pleased with themselves while their human handlers praised them. In orbit, Commander Vex's bridge crew watched in stunned silence as their elite warriors, the pride of their species, were thoroughly outmaneuvered by what the humans kept calling their furry friends. "Sir," the communications officer reported weakly, "the humans are offering us one last chance to retreat. They say this was just the welcome party, and that there are millions more dogs across their planet." Vex stared at the screen, watching as one of his mighty warriors was now receiving a belly rub from a happy Bernese mountain dog. The warrior, to his horror, seemed to be enjoying it. "How?" he whispered. "How did we not see this coming?" On the ground, as the alien warriors either surrendered or retreated in confusion, the dogs of Earth received treats, belly rubs, and endless praise. The humans had known all along their best weapon wasn't technology or brute force, but the loving partnership they'd built with another species over thousands of years. And this was just the beginning. Commander Vex had never felt such embarrassment in his long military career. Half his elite warriors were retreating to their pods, while the other half were playing fetch. "Status report." He barked at his bridge crew, watching the chaos unfold on the main screen. Lieutenant Ray cleared his throat nervously. "Sir, it's getting worse. The humans are. They're releasing more of their forces. Different types this time." The tactical display showed new waves of dogs arriving at other landing sites across the planet. Each group seemed to have its own special skills that the humans had somehow developed over generations of partnership. In London's Hyde Park, a team of bloodhounds was tracking down warriors who tried to hide, their incredible sense of smell making escape impossible. One alien soldier found himself being led back to the human lines by a gentle but persistent bloodhound who just wanted to make friends. "The tiny ones are the worst," reported a warrior from Sydney, Australia. "They don't show up on our threat sensors." He was surrounded by a pack of Yorkshire Terriers, each one barely bigger than his foot, but filled with endless courage and determination. In Moscow, several Caucasian shepherd dogs, bred to fight bears, were showing the aliens exactly why they had earned that reputation. The massive, fluffy dogs turned out to be far more intimidating than their appearance suggested. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "you need to see this. The humans are deploying what they call their Special Forces units." The main screen switched to show a new type of dog entering the fray. They moved with incredible discipline, wearing tactical gear and working in perfect sync with human handlers. These were the most elite military working dogs from around the world. A Belgian Malinois named Rex demonstrated why his breed was favored by Special Forces units, taking down an alien warrior 3 times his size with precision and skill. His human handler barely needed to give commands. They worked together like a single unit. In Tokyo, a team of Akitas and Shiba Inus showed their legendary loyalty, protecting their human partners with a determination that impressed even the alien warriors. One Akita managed to befriend a confused alien soldier, who was now sitting down and learning how to give proper belly rubs. "The humans," Ray reported, studying his sensors, "they're not even using weapons. They're just directing their dogs with whistles, hand signals, and voice commands. It's like they can communicate without technology." Commander Vex watched as more of his warriors encountered Earth's canine defenders, a group of poodles, which the aliens had dismissed as decorative creatures, turned out to be highly intelligent and skilled hunters. Their coordinated attacks left several warriors tangled in their own equipment. "Perhaps," Vex suggested desperately, "we could try to recruit some of these dogs to our side." As if in answer, the screen showed a Great Dane gently but firmly guiding a warrior back to his pod, clearly communicating that it was time for the aliens to go home. The warrior, despite being larger and stronger, found himself obeying the dog's suggestions without question. "Sir," Ray said, "I'm detecting something else. The humans. They're releasing their home defense forces." Vex watched in horror as millions of family pets joined the effort. From tiny Dachshunds to massive Mastiffs, every dog seemed eager to protect their human families. What terrified the aliens most wasn't their strength or skills. It was the obvious love and loyalty between the dogs and humans. "I don't understand," Vex muttered, watching as one of his fiercest warriors sat down to play with a friendly golden retriever. Our enhanced soldiers are the apex predators of our world. How are they being defeated by good boys? The communications officer supplied helpfully. The humans keep calling them good boys and good girls. Should we add these terms to our tactical database? Before Vex could respond, new reports flooded in. His warriors were either retreating in confusion or, more worryingly, asking if they could stay and learn more about these amazing creatures that humans call dogs. Several had already discovered the joy of throwing tennis balls. On Earth, humans and their canine companions stood together, showing the aliens something they had never encountered before. Two species working together by choice, bound by love and trust, rather than force or genetics. It was a power greater than any weapon the aliens possessed. And the dogs hadn't even started using their secret weapon yet, the puppy dog eyes. Commander Vex stared at his tactical display in complete disbelief. His mighty invasion force, the pride of their galactic empire, was being thoroughly defeated by what humans casually referred to as furry family members. "Sir," Lieutenant Ray reported, his voice shaking, "you need to see this new development." The main screen showed something that made every alien on the bridge freeze. The humans were now deploying what they called their secret weapon, puppies. In Central Park, a group of warrior-class aliens found themselves surrounded by Labrador Retriever puppies. The sight of these small, clumsy, incredibly cute creatures completely short-circuited their combat programming. One warrior sat down on the grass, overwhelmed as 5 golden retriever puppies climbed into his lap. What are they doing?" Vex asked, watching his elite soldier scratch a puppy's belly. "The humans call it puppy therapy," Ray explained, consulting his data. "Apparently, it's impossible to remain aggressive when faced with puppies." The evidence was clear. Across every landing zone, similar scenes were playing out. A fearsome warrior, who had been bred for combat, was now playing tug-of-war with a German Shepherd puppy. Another was learning how to properly throw a tennis ball for an enthusiastic group of young border collies. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "the humans are sending us educational materials about something called dog adoption." Vex's second-in-command, watching a warrior being taught how to give proper ear scratches by a patient human, turned to his commander. Perhaps we should review these materials." The situation grew even more chaotic when the humans revealed their next strategy. They began explaining to the aliens about different dog breeds, showing pictures of everything from tiny Chihuahuas to massive Saint Bernards. The warriors, designed to be the ultimate soldiers, were instead becoming fascinated by the incredible diversity of Earth's canines. "Look at this report," Ray said, scanning his console. "Our warriors are asking questions about breed characteristics and proper care guidelines. One team is discussing the merits of various dog toys." Through the command channel, Vex heard one of his best warriors speaking. "The humans say these creatures choose to live with them. They're not forced or controlled. They actually love their humans. How is this possible?" Another warrior chimed in. "Commander, did you know they have entire spaces dedicated to letting dogs play together? They call them dog parks. Can we build some on our home world?" The final blow to the invasion force's dignity came when the humans demonstrated something called basic training. The aliens watched in amazement as dogs of all sizes responded to simple commands, showing intelligence and eagerness to please their human partners. "Our warriors are now requesting permission to attend something called puppy training classes," the communications officer reported, trying to keep his voice professional. Vex slumped in his command chair. On the main screen, one of his most decorated soldiers was learning the proper technique for giving belly rubs to a content Bernese mountain dog. Another was being taught the importance of regular walks and positive reinforcement training. "Sir," Ray said quietly, "I think we need to consider our options. Our warriors, they're not just being defeated, they're being converted." The evidence was undeniable. The fearsome invasion force was now more interested in learning about proper pet care than conquering Earth. Several warriors had already asked about the adoption process, while others were debating which breeds would best suit their living quarters back home. The humans, Vex realized, they knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't just defeat us, they showed us a better way. Through the command channel, they heard the final proof of their defeat. The sound of their mighty warriors collectively cooing as a litter of corgi puppies waddled past. "Should I prepare our surrender terms?" the communications officer asked. Vex watched as more of his soldiers discovered the joy of playing fetch, the satisfaction of earning a dog's trust, and the simple pleasure of a warm puppy falling asleep in their arms. Their weapons lay forgotten on the ground, replaced by tennis balls and dog treats. The invasion of Earth hadn't just failed. It had turned into the galaxy's most successful adoption event. 1 month after the failed invasion, Commander Vex stood in a very different kind of meeting room on Earth. Instead of his usual battle armor, he wore what humans called casual clothes, and beside him sat a young golden retriever puppy he had named Star. The room was filled with both human and alien representatives, all working on what they now called the Interstellar Pet Adoption Treaty. Many of the alien delegates had their own dogs sitting beside them, former warriors who had completely abandoned their military posts in favor of becoming dog trainers and caretakers. As I was saying, Vex explained to the assembly, gently scratching Star's ears, our entire understanding of strength was wrong. We thought being an apex predator meant being solitary and feared. Humans showed us something much more powerful: partnership and trust. Captain Tom Miller, sitting across the table with his German Shepherd Max, nodded. "And how's the new training center coming along on your home world?" Vex's face lit up, an expression that would have terrified his crew a month ago, but now just made him look like an excited pet owner. "The first dog park opened last week. You should see it. We've adapted the design to work with our gravity, and the dogs are loving it. Though we had to make some adjustments for the larger breeds." Lieutenant Ray, now the head of the Interstellar Canine Relations Department, pulled up a holographic display. "We've already had over 10,000 adoption applications from our home world. Turns out, our people were desperately missing something we never knew we needed: companionship." The display showed images that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago. Former warrior-class aliens attending puppy training classes, learning about proper pet care, and even competing in dog sports. One particularly popular photo showed a massive alien warrior carefully grooming a tiny Pomeranian. "The change in our society has been remarkable," Vex continued, watching as Star rolled over for a belly rub. "Crime rates have dropped significantly. It's hard to maintain an aggressive society when everyone's busy taking their dogs for walks and arranging playmates." The human delegates shared knowing looks. They had expected the dogs to help stop the invasion, but they hadn't anticipated just how completely Earth's canines would transform alien society. "We've had to redesign our ships," Ray added, showing new spacecraft layouts. "All military vessels are being converted to include dog parks, grooming stations, and play areas. Our engineers are actually excited about the challenge of creating zero-gravity fetch games." Captain Miller laughed. "Just wait until they discover dog shows. We're already planning the first Interstellar Championship." Vex's eyes widened. "There are competitions. Star, we have training to do." The puppy wagged her tail, already having her commander wrapped around her little paw. The meeting continued with discussions about exchange programs for dog trainers, interplanetary pet supply trade agreements, and plans for the galaxy's first chain of off-world veterinary clinics. The former invasion force had become the galaxy's most enthusiastic pet adoption advocates. "Oh," Ray remembered, "we should mention the latest development. Our scientists, inspired by Earth's service dogs, have started training programs for assistance animals. It turns out dogs can help with many of our species' health issues too." "And the therapy dogs," Vex added proudly. "They've done wonders for our veterans. Who knew that playing with puppies could heal old battle trauma?" As the meeting concluded, Everyone watched as alien and human children played together in the attached dog park, supervised by dogs of all sizes and breeds. The scene perfectly captured what humans had known for thousands of years. Dogs made everything better. "One last thing," Vex said, standing up as Star sat perfectly at his side. "We've officially changed our ship's name from Fang of Victory to Paws of Friendship. It seemed more appropriate." Looking out over the dog park, where former warriors now discussed the merits of different dog toys and compared training techniques with human handlers, Vex smiled. His species had come to Earth expecting to find weakness in humanity's connection to other creatures. Instead, they had discovered that the true measure of an advanced civilization wasn't its weapons or warriors, but its capacity for love, friendship, and the wisdom to learn from a species that offered both unconditionally. "You know," he said to no one in particular as Star leaned against his leg, "maybe we're the ones who got rescued." The diplomatic summit ended as most meetings on Earth now did, with a group photo of humans, aliens, and dogs all trying to look at the camera while someone held up a treat.